Now I told you one of the reasons I bought this radio. Now this is a Collins 51J-1. It's a very rare model. And I looked at the schematic for the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. And I started saying, okay, this is what I'd want to build. When you turn the main tuning, a bunch of coils adjust before the RF amp, after the RF amp. It also adjusts after the first mixer. This is the kind of front end you want on a radio. So I buy this and I'm working on it, and I was doing other bands, getting them working, and I said, let me go do the AM broadcast band. That one's triple conversion. And I'm telling myself, why is the AM broadcast band triple conversion? And I get it, and I start tuning. I'm like, I barely get any stations. I'm like, okay, there's a bad capacitor somewhere. So I start troubleshooting. I start realizing the AM broadcast band has been dummied down. So I went looking, and you have people mention that these two coils here. All right, I'm really sweaty. I just did a 2-hour walk. These two coils here are not really designed correctly. They should have lots of turns on them for the broadcast band, and then maybe 150 picofarad cap across it because it's slug tuned. Instead, it's got 900 picofarad across it, and it hardly has any turns. So that means that coil, when it tunes on the frequency, is not very sharp. It doesn't have Q. So you're looking at it going, what the hell's going on with that? Well, you're thinking, well, it's got an RF amp. Well, the RF amp, when you're in the broadcast band position, they drop the voltage to 90 volts on only the broadcast band. You're like, what the hell is going on? And so you start thinking, okay, they have two coils in there that are garbage, absolute garbage. They drop the voltage to 90 volts when you're in broadcast band, and that's to prevent overloading. That's an issue with shortwave radios. They tend to have so many stages, so much gain, that they overload on strong local stations. So there's ways around that with just another knob, but they didn't. They tried working with it. And they used the same system on all 4 models. So you got the coils that aren't right, you drop the voltage 90 volts, and you're bringing in another stage of mixer. So you have triple tune. There's 3 mixers. Now, 2 of the mixers get their voltage from this 4 megahertz crystal, right here, right in the frame. This 4 megahertz crystal goes off to a special circuit just for the broadcast band, and it produces 12 and 8 megacycles, or megahertz, for the mixers. So I'm looking at all these parts, and it's still deaf. So I went looking, and every once in a while you find a message. Guy goes, man, my radio is really deaf on broadcast. And the guy goes, oh, mine works fine. Well, it depends where you live. Now, I'm out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and if you turn a regular AM broadcast radio on, a clock radio you buy in the store, it's going to get 2 stations barely of the whole AM broadcast band. 2 stations, and they're both 1,000 watts. And that's what this radio is acting exactly like so many other radios I have here. But normally, like when you got a Hammerland radio, I think an HQ140X, and that thing is real good on broadcast band. Same with the BC348. It only does the very top, but it works really well. I can tune in Sweet 16, which is a very low power station that's several towns away. It gets that. But this is pathetic. This radio is pathetic. And then the tubes sockets that you have to deal with are behind this function switch. You know, with the wafers. This is a function switch, and you can't get in there to make meter readings. I had to cut one of my probes down. I don't know if I got it here. Of course, it's going to be. I have 2 of them, and it's going to be the other one. I had to cut the flange off this. in order to get it in. There's so many places you can't even get the meter in there to make the reading, so to take readings. So I did the plate voltage, and it drops to 90 when you're on the AM broadcast band. So I jumpered it out, and it works better. Now I have ordered another RF amp tube, and I'll see how that does. And then I might go in and modify this. When I have a shortwave radio on the bench that I use, it has to be capable of giving me my local AM broadcast stations that I listen to. If not, this is going to become a shelf queen very quick. And it's funny, when I go looking for information, I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I find it, but then I find the other guys that give bad information. Now, one guy said that these two coils were made this way because this is made for a whip antenna, and this helps with the impedance. And so I put a 3-foot piece of wire on it. Didn't help. It's not going to help. I knew it wouldn't help, but that's what the guy was saying. He had heard. I would love to be sitting with the guy that designed the front end for this thing for AM broadcasts and see how he squirms. Well, I added in a fourth mixer, so it's triple tuned. I said, yeah, but it can't get some of the stations. Well, we don't want it to overload. Well, the reason it's overloading is you got two shit coils up in the front end. That's the first defense for a shortwave radio, is the coil off the antenna is sharply tuned. When you tune to the frequency, it cuts down, it only lets the frequency through that you want to pick up, but it also lets the lower harmonic and upper harmonic sneak through, or maybe just the lower harmonic. And that's one of the things. But you get rid of that when you do conversion, when you do your heterodyning. But I don't know what I'm looking at here, and I keep looking. Now, I do have one website. I'm going to write a very short 2-sentence question and say to the guy, what did you hear about this front end? And I did read that there is a modification. Somebody was trying to modify it. And I'll see what that person found. Did they find what I found? And this radio is really cool in the fact that it's got all these gears. When you tune to a frequency, all kinds of things are moving. And it's really good on shortwaves, upper bands. But it's got to get AM. I think that's it for now. All right, that's it.